All right, today we're diving into one of the most intense and visually spectacular chapters in the entire Bible. We're talking about Exodus 19, Fire on the Mountain. Let's get right into it. So, think about this for a second. What actually happens when a whole nation, millions of people, gets a direct invitation to meet God face to face? We're not talking about a quiet prayer in a room. We're talking about a massive national summons. The scale is just mind-blowing. Okay, so verse 1 sets the clock. It's been exactly 3 months to the day since they escaped from Egypt. Then verse 2 gives us the location. Picture a massive city of tents just popping up out of nowhere in the middle of the desert, all of them facing this one giant, jagged mountain. That's Mount Sinai. Israel has arrived. Now, while everybody else is setting up camp, verse 3 tells us that one man, Moses, starts to climb. He just goes up. And then a voice calls out to him from the peak of the mountain itself. He's the one guy, the bridge between all the people down below and the presence waiting up top. So what's the very first thing God wants to talk about? It's a history lesson. In verse 4, God tells Moses, hey, remind them what they just saw. Remind them what I did to the biggest empire on the planet. He's grounding this whole experience in their memory of his power. And this line, this is the heart of that reminder. God doesn't just say, I rescued you. He paints this powerful picture. Imagine a giant eagle swooping down, grabbing its young, and just soaring above all the chaos and danger. That's the image God gives them. I personally lifted you up and carried you here to me. Okay, so after the reminder comes this incredible offer in verse 5. God says, if you obey me and keep my covenant, then you will be my segula. Now, this word is key. It doesn't just mean treasure. It means a king's personal, private stash, the stuff he values more than anything else in his kingdom. It's an offer of incredible value and closeness. So what does it even mean to be God's special treasure? Well, verse 6 gives them the job description. First, a kingdom of priests. Priests were the go-betweens for people and their gods. So God is basically saying, your entire nation is going to be my representative to the rest of the world. And second, a holy nation, a people totally set apart, different from everyone else. That's the mission. So in verse 7, Moses heads back down the mountain. You've got to picture him gathering all the leaders of the tribes. And he doesn't paraphrase. The text says he laid out all these words that the Lord commanded him. He gives them the offer uncut, straight from the source. The ball is in their court now. And the response in verse 8 is incredible. It's immediate. It's unanimous. The elders tell the people, and this one voice rises from the whole camp, millions of people saying, we'll do it. Everything he said, we will do. It's this powerful moment of unity. And Moses takes that yes right back up the mountain. Now listen to God's response in verse 9. He hears their yes, and he says, okay, good. Now, I am going to come down in a thick cloud so they can hear me talking to you, and because of that, they will trust you forever. All the smoke and fire that's about to happen, it has a very specific purpose, to lock in their faith in Moses as their leader. And with that, the preparation begins. In verses 10 and 11, God lays out a 3-day countdown. First, consecrate yourselves, basically get spiritually ready. Second, wash your clothes, an outward sign of getting clean on the inside. And third, just be ready, because on day 3, God is coming down. And then the mood shifts, big time. Verse 12 introduces a really serious element of danger. God tells Moses to put a boundary around the whole mountain, and the warning is crystal clear. Do not cross it. Don't even let your hand brush against it. Holy ground just became hazardous ground. And just in case anyone thought he was exaggerating, verse 13 spells out the penalty. And it is not a suggestion. It doesn't matter if it's a person or a farm animal. If it touches the mountain, it will be put to death. It's so serious that no one can even touch the person who broke the rule. They have to be stoned or shot with an arrow from a distance. The holiness is that intense. So Moses goes down the mountain. Again, verse 14 shows him getting it done. He goes through the camp, consecrates the people, and they wash their clothes. The whole nation is buzzing with this intense, active preparation. Then in verse 15, Moses gives them the final command for getting ready. They are to abstain from marital relations. This isn't just about being physically clean. It's about being 100% focused, spiritually, mentally, everything, on the event that's about to happen. And then day 3 hits, and verse 16 just unleashes chaos. We're talking thunder that cracks the sky, blinding flashes of lightning, a thick, dark, heavy cloud just swallows the whole mountain. And then there's a sound, a trumpet blast getting louder and louder and louder. And the people? They're not in awe anymore. They are terrified. They're trembling. So what does Moses do? Does he tell them to hide in their tents? No. In verse 17, he does the opposite. He leads the shaking crowds out of the camp and towards the mountain, right up to the boundary they were forbidden to cross. He's bringing them to their meeting with God. And now we see what's happening on the mountain. Verse 18 says the whole of Mount Sinai was covered in smoke, like a giant furnace. And the reason? The Lord descended on it in fire. And it's not just smoke and fire. The entire mountain is shaking, just quaking violently. Now, in the middle of all this terrifying noise, the thunder, the earthquake, and that trumpet getting louder and louder, something amazing happens in verse 19. Moses speaks, and God answers him with a voice. They're having a conversation in the middle of a divine hurricane. So the Lord is now on the peak of Sinai. Verse 20 makes that clear. And then God gives the ultimate invitation. He calls out to Moses and tells him to come on up, all the way to the top, to walk right into the fire and the smoke and meet him there. But just as he's about to go, God stops him. Verses 21 and 22 are this urgent last-minute check. God says, "Go back down, warn them again, the people and the priests. Don't let them get curious and try to push through the boundary to get a better look, because if they do, they will be destroyed." Even in this epic moment, God's main concern is protecting the people. And Moses' response in verse 23 is so relatable. He basically says, "But Lord, they can't come up. You already told us to set up a boundary, and we did it. It's already been handled." You can almost hear him thinking, why are we going over this again? God's reply in verse 24 leaves no room for debate. He just says, "Away, get down." It is a final, absolute command. Go, warn them one last time, and then come back up, but this time, bring your brother Aaron with you. So verse 25 ends with Moses heading back down to the people yet again. So let's just leave it there for a second. Picture the scene. The mountain is literally on fire. The ground is shaking. The air is still ringing from that trumpet. And Moses is walking towards the people, his face probably glowing from the fire of God's presence. He has their absolute, terrified attention. So what words could possibly follow a moment like this?